Hey everyone, it's Rabbi Shmuel Pon. Hope you're all doing well. Many of you have asked what are my opinions about the situation in Israel, and while I have been writing about it to my community locally, I have not come on the internet and said anything about it, but I have a lot to say about it, and I'm going to deliver it all to you as swiftly as I can today, because there's a lot to say. So on October 7th, which is the holiday of Simchas Torah, we had the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And the time has come for us to talk about how we got into this mess and how to make sure it never happens again. So the Torah's way, the Bible's way, is the way of pleasantness and peace. That's what Proverbs says in 3:17. Therefore, if there is war, rape, murder, mayhem, that means there's somehow been a departure from the way of peace. There's somehow been a departure from the way of the Torah. Under a Torah-based government, none of this could possibly happen, because the rabbis teach us exactly how to deal with terrorism. The Talmud instructs us, if he comes to kill you, get up and kill him first. That's Sanhedrin 72a. In other words, preemptive self-defense. Israel has faced many wars and fights them in basically the same way, with restraint for fear of international pressure. She generally attacks only when she's already been attacked and innocent Jews have died. When she takes over territory from which the attacks came, she often gives the territory back, allowing the enemy to mount another attack at a future date. And this methodology is totally anti-Torah, and that's why it is not working. How would a Torah system be better? Well, since Israel is surrounded by enemies, Israel would have to always be on the offensive. It would actually have the best intelligence in the world, and it would eradicate any group that threatens Jewish lives immediately before it has a chance to form. The Torah teaches us that the growth of a terror group is like the growth of a cancer. Attack it from the source before it forms. Imagine a world today in which Hamas doesn't exist because it was stopped in 1987 when it was small and weak. We let this cancer grow. The moment they came to kill, they should have been gone. Not one innocent life would be taken. Peace would reign, and the solution continues. Let's continue with the solution now. The next leg of this essay. We spoke about how the Torah demands that we attack small problems before they become big problems. And if this is true, we should urge our politicians to take action right now, not on Gaza and Hamas, which is important. We need to get those hostages out. But I'm actually talking about something else. I'm talking about the Iranian nuclear program. We now know how serious the Iranians are about destroying Israel, and they're building a bomb which would enable them to do that, God forbid. You have to assume that if they're building a bomb, they're going to use it. If we don't stop it, that could be, God forbid, another Holocaust. This may be the Holocaust from afar, which is predicted in Isaiah 10:3, and we know that negative prophecies do not have to actually come true. But now is the perfect time to destroy the nuclear program. In the wake of Hamas's Iranian-backed attacks, we can tell the world that we can no longer afford to wait until small problems become big problems. We must stop another Holocaust before it starts. This can be done from the air. Not a Jew or an Arab needs to be hurt. There is no higher priority than the stopping nuclear war. Spread the word and petition the U.S. and the Israeli government to take this action now, which can save millions of Jewish lives. Just 10 emails from us to the White House or the Knesset will make all the difference. So may all Jews, especially... So some final thoughts about Israel and how it can become permanently safe and secure. In addition to stopping terrorism before it starts and destroying the Iranian nuclear program, Israel should also not be shy about expanding its borders. The more land Israel takes, the safer Israel is, and the safer the world is. If Israel truly cared about its security, it would immediately annex and govern the Gaza Strip, the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Temple Mount. There's both a practical and a biblical reason why this should be done. First of all, it will put a stop to terrorism. When Israel annexes new land, it demoralizes the terrorists, whose dream is to wipe Israel off the map. When Israel gets stronger and bigger every time a hair is hurt on a Jew's head, the terrorists will start to give up on that dream. They'll realize it's not going to happen. It will take the soul out of their efforts. They will be morally weak and ineffectual. In the past, we've done the opposite. We've given away land that we owned. When we pulled out of Gaza in August of 2005, we just allowed Hamas 18 years to plan new terrorist attacks against us. We saw the results this past October 7th. If we would take control of the Gaza Strip again, we would be able to keep tabs on any brewing terrorist activity, and an attack like this would never happen again from that location. Biblically, this should be done because that land belongs to the Jews. As it states in Joshua 4:1, God says we should annex from the desert and this Lebanon until the great Euphrates River and all the land of the Hittites until the great sea towards the setting of the sun. That will be your boundary. The sages say that ultimately the entire world will become Israel, but that may not be literal. It may be talking about the spirituality of Israel, which will travel all over the world. But let's at least start with Exodus 23:31, which describes the borders from the Sea of Reeds, the Red Sea, to the Sea of the Plishtim, the Mediterranean Sea, and from the desert to the Euphrates River. The great commentary Rashi actually says that the whole reason that the Bible starts with creation and not its laws was that people should know that God created all the lands and he gave this piece of land to the Jewish people. Arabs have 22 other countries to live in. They don't need to live in this one. This one piece of land is for the Jews only, and some non-Jews at times, as we will explain. What better way is there to decide the borders of any country? The alternative is to decide it through war and death, or you can simply follow the Bible's blueprint, which is clear as day. It doesn't tell us who gets what, except in this one case, which should be obvious to everyone, that the land of Israel belongs to the Jews. Israel should also go back to the laws of the Ger Toshav, the alien settler laws. These laws require that any non-Jew that lives in the land of Israel, which is really not their land, must keep the 7 Noahide laws. 7 Noahide laws include not being associated or supporting terrorism, also known as murder. I hope that you will all share this video, and I hope it will ultimately reach the decision makers in Israel and America. May they be chazak ve'amat, strong and courageous. One final note. This is more spiritual. The attack happened when the Jewish people were very, very divided. And the sages say that baseless hatred is what caused the destruction of the Second Temple. So maybe something even more important than all of this, the spiritual side, is for the Jewish people to unite as a people, as our prayers say, bless all of us as one with peace. There will be peace when we are one. So let's stop looking at each other as bodies. This is what Jewish mysticism asks us to do. Stop looking at each other as just being bodies, and start looking at each other as being animated by a godly soul, which is 100% pure. Behind every action of another, this goes for non-Jews as well, deep down there is a godly purpose for what they're doing. And anything negative we see in another person, it's actually a mirror, and we're actually seeing the negativity in ourselves. So for instance, this video is actually quite neutral. If a person leaves a hate comment on this video, it's like they're looking in a mirror. They have negativity in themselves, so they project it outwards on to others. My sister, who lives on the front lines up against the border of Syria in the Golan Heights, says the bridges that intersect with the 6 were peppered with anti or pro-reform messages. That was the hatred that was going on between the two sides of the Jewish people about judicial reform. Today, those same areas are filled with Israeli flags and signs that say, "Together we win." That's when the Jewish people are going to get stronger, and that's when the Jewish people are going to win together. Jews and Gentiles, all together, we will end the reign of terror and usher in the era of peace and harmony known as the Messianic era. May he come and redeem us today. God bless.